So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I read maybe a couple of years ago, and I'd heard said a few times, and I always thought it sounded nice, but I couldn't quite, what is it? I guess I needed to prove it to myself. Maybe that was it. And so this is laid out a little more clearly in this book called How to Expand Love by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And they talk oftentimes in Buddhism how the nature of the mind is clear and luminous, and it's actually like the sky free from clouds, clouds representing like afflictions, and the nature of the mind being without these afflictions, and that's our basic nature, and that's actually the basis of our Buddha potential, which is, I think, a very important thing to think about, and it's really a very positive outlook that Buddhism takes on what sentient beings are, and both in terms of our potential and what our, I don't know, my word would be maybe our natural state of mind is when it's very vast and calm and clear in the deepest states of the mind. And this idea is quite old. And even Dharmakirti says the nature of the mind is clear light, defilements are superficial. But in addition to that, what I didn't really, maybe it's the teachings that we've been having in the last few years, but this makes much more sense to me now, and I couldn't understand it before, how, okay, the afflictions are adventitious, but it also seemed like love and compassion were kind of add-ons as well. And actually that's not really what they're saying. And so I think that where this makes sense to me finally is that you can see in your own experience that when you have afflictions in your mind, they're actually supported by ignorance, and they're always disturbing, and there's a lot going on, and when you kind of analyze it, there's usually a strong sense of me mixed in there, and there's always a lot going on when you look at any of your afflictions, and they're based on a misconception. But love and compassion don't need any, for their production, they need no, here's what His Holiness says, they need no assistance from the ignorance that misconceives objects as existing inherently or in and of themselves alone. So he's saying that valid cognition supports love and compassion. And so I think that's finally how I can see now what he was saying. Maybe I never really understood it before, but it seems true to my experience, and just trying to sit with this for the last few weeks, looking in my mind, and having actually genuine love is kind of a rare thing, but the moments where you have those kind of thoughts, and just looking at the feeling tone of the mind, it's so calm, and it's from a very different state, and I think that's the kind of mind that we want to enhance. And I think for me, I always have to find these things in my experience, and I think that's the little glimmer that I have, that there's truth in this statement. And so that, in my mind, really supports this notion in the Buddhist worldview that our mind is clear and luminous. We can't really see that for ourselves all the time, most of the time, in fact, maybe none of the time, because in order to see that clarity of the mind, you have to have really removed a lot of your obscurations. And most of us haven't yet. But we still have moments, and we have inklings from our practice over time that, wow, there are these glimmers of experience and glimmers of hope then that what they're saying is true. And so I wanted to share that, because to me, this is a very important piece to really look strongly at what our potential is and what our nature is in terms of love and compassion, because those are things that are really, I think, serving the basis for our bodhicitta. So maybe you can do your own little experiments and see.